If you've ever tried cleaning up drywall dust with your regular home vacuum, well, you know how that ends. A big cloud of dust, that awful smell of a burning motor, and a dead vacuum. I've been there. That's why today, we're talking shop vacs. And we're going to cut right through all the marketing nonsense to figure out what really matters when you're picking the right tool for the job. See, your standard vacuum just isn't built for that kind of abuse. Those tiny filters clog up in seconds, the motor starts screaming as it tries to pull air through, and before you know it, you've got an even bigger mess and a broken machine. You need something that's actually designed for that kind of punishment. So for a minute, let's just ignore all those big, flashy numbers they plaster on the box. In this explainer, I'm going to show you the two key specs that actually tell you how a shop vac is going to perform. That way you can make a smart choice and get the right tool for your workshop without wasting a single dime.
Okay, let's get right into it, starting with what I think is the biggest lie in the entire industry: peak horsepower. You've seen this everywhere, right? 6.5 peak horsepower. It sounds so powerful, doesn't it? And that's exactly the point. But when it comes to how you'll actually use the machine, that number is almost completely meaningless.
So here's the secret. Peak horsepower is a measurement they take in a lab. They run the motor for a split second with no filter, no hose, no dirt, absolutely zero load on it. It's a perfect scenario that will never, ever happen in your garage or on a job site. It's purely a marketing number, not a real-world performance number.
So if you want to know how a vac really performs, you need to forget peak HP and look for two other numbers: CFM and water lift. These are the true measures of a shop vac's power. First up, you've got CFM, which stands for cubic feet per minute. The easiest way to think about this is airflow. It's the sheer volume of air that the vacuum can move. So if you've got a huge pile of light stuff like sawdust, a high CFM is going to suck all that up super fast. It's all about speed. And then you've got water lift. Now this is the raw suction muscle. This is the brute force that lets you pull heavy, stubborn stuff. I'm talking nuts and bolts, wet goop, a puddle of water, all the way up the hose and into the drum. So if CFM is the speed, water lift, that's the strength.
Okay, so keeping that in mind, what's the best bang for your buck? You know, for most homeowners, for most serious DIYers, the answer is actually pretty clear. This is the Ridgid 14-gallon NXT, and as you can see, it has a really good 165 CFM, which is why it's a beast at clearing big messes of lighter debris in no time. And with a 14-gallon capacity, you're not stopping to empty it all the time. For about $180, it's just a fantastic, well-balanced machine for most workshops.
Now the performance is solid, for sure, but that's not the main reason this thing stands out from the rest of the pack. There is one feature that puts it in a totally different league when it comes to long-term value.
This right here, the Ridgid full lifetime warranty. And I mean lifetime. It's not limited, it's not for just a few years, it's for the life of the tool. If it breaks down because of a defect, they will fix it or they will replace it. For free. That is an absolutely unbeatable advantage.
And hey, don't just take my word for it. This right here perfectly illustrates the point. Real users, especially people running a business, they know a tool is an investment, and having a company stand behind their product like this for a life, that gives you incredible peace of mind and can save you hundreds of dollars down the road.
All right, so the Ridgid is the go-to for most people. But what if you're a contractor? What if you're using this thing day in and day out and need something a little more specialized? Well, then there's another option you should really consider.
Check out the DeWalt 16-gallon DXV16PA. Now, first thing you'll notice, this CFM is actually a bit lower than the Ridgids, but that's not the story here. Look at the water lift, a massive 73 inches. That is some serious suction power, perfect for pulling up really heavy, dense stuff like wet concrete slurry or chunks of scrap wood.
But that raw power isn't even its biggest selling point. Where this DeWalt really shines, especially for pros who have to work in a client's home or an occupied building, is something you have to hear to believe. Or, well, maybe not hear.
Take a look at this. Your typical shop vac is screaming at 85 decibels or more. That's loud enough that you should be wearing hearing protection. This DeWalt, part of their Stealth Sonic line, runs at about 65 decibels. That is a massive difference. We're talking about the difference between a jet engine and a normal conversation. It makes for a much less draining workday.
And I love this quote. This user flat out says they're not even a fan of DeWalt tools, but this vacuum is, in their words, insanely quiet. When you get an endorsement that strong from someone who is already a skeptic, you know it's the real deal.
All right, so we've got two fantastic vacuums that really serve two different types of users. Let's put them side by side so you can make the choice crystal clear.
So here's the bottom line. The Ridgid is the best all-around choice for most people. It's got great performance, a totally fair price, and that unbeatable lifetime warranty makes it a no-brainer for a long-term investment. The DeWalt, on the other hand, is for the pro. You're paying more, but you're getting that best-in-class suction and, just as important, that quiet operation that makes a huge difference on a long job.
So ultimately, the choice really comes down to one simple question you have to ask yourself. Are you investing in a reliable tool that is guaranteed to last you a lifetime, or do you need a specialized, high-performance machine that can handle the daily grind of a professional job site and do it quietly? The answer to that is going to point you to the perfect vac for your garage.